Hey everyone, it's Gunnison and welcome back to Spinning the Tires. Sorry I haven't been on much very lately. It's been a little slower than expected getting back into the normal run of things since I got back from Texas, but I have some very exciting stuff to share, some interesting perspective to share from the Circuit of the Americas race, which I was able to attend, and also from this last weekend's Coca-Cola 600, which, you know, after seeing a real race in person, it was different watching NASCAR on TV. But yeah, I'll be reviewing both those races here and giving a brief overview of what I think will happen this upcoming weekend in Sonoma, as well as covering a couple interesting rumors that have popped up the past couple weeks. So let's get right into it. Alright, so a couple weeks ago I was able to attend Circuit of the Americas for their inaugural NASCAR Cup Series race. Got there on Friday, watched some practices for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series, NASCAR's Camping World Truck Series, and NASCAR's Xfinity Series. All of those were super fun to watch. The next day was qualifying for the Truck and Xfinity Series. There was a practice for the Cup Series, and races for Xfinity and Truck Series. Then Sunday there was a race for the Lamborghini Series, and then qualifying and the Cup Series race. So throughout the weekend there was a lot of rain. Got drenched in rain more than once. The Cup Series ran their practice and their race in soaking wet rain. Truck race was run in rain as well. The Xfinity race was dry. But yeah, it was very interesting. Weather conditions were all over the place throughout the week. It would rain hard in the morning, then it would become sunnier later in the day, or it would be sunny and nice early in the day, and then it would turn cloudy and just a downpour really quickly. So weather was all over the place, which was pretty cool. I got to see a bit of everything. I saw yellow flags, red flags, checkered flags, green and white checkered flags, green flags, anything in racing that you can think of. There was a big wreck that happened, some great passes for the lead where I was seated down in turn 12. Yeah, overall, I had the time of my life. But yeah, let's actually talk about the race itself and how it turned out. When qualifying happened early Sunday, everybody was surprised with Tyler Reddick, and congratulations to him, getting his first pole in the NASCAR Cup Series with a beautiful looking Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen patriotic car. So yeah, did a great job with that paint scheme. And at the start of the race, he actually had a good start. NASCAR, they started with rain tires on. And I should note, the start of the race was interesting because it was at a point where it had been raining, but it was... the track was damp. It wasn't soaked. So some drivers elected to stay out and keep their tires from qualifying on. Others elected to come down pit road, switch out the rain tires and the slick tires. It was interesting how the strategy went. But Austin Cindric, an Xfinity Series regular, making his only, I think, 5th Cup start, he charged out to an early lead and just schooled the field for nearly 10 laps. This guy's run 5 races. This is his first ever NASCAR Cup Series road course race, and he's leading the field. Incredible job by him. Eventually, Michael McDowell was leading the race. Joey Logano was leading the race. McDowell, that was cool to see him eventually get a 7th place finish, because he's my favorite driver. So it was great to see him out there doing so well. Corey LaJoie ran up in the top 10 for quite a while. Daniel Suarez, unfortunately, he was looking to do good, but had a transmission issue at the beginning of the day that kind of ruined the day for him. But yeah, great job to all the young drivers, especially this weekend, and especially Chase Elliott, who won his first race of the season. And this win wasn't a surprise. It was anticipated. Chase Elliott's become known as the best road course racer in the Cup Series right now. But the way he got the win was a little unexpected. To figure out how he got the win, we got to start earlier in the race. So early in the race, started raining a little harder, and then everybody who was on slick tires were like, okay, we need to come down pit road and get rain tires because it's really starting to pour out here. So yeah, I got to raining fairly hard. I can tell you because I was there, it wasn't a downpour at that point, but it was pretty heavy rain. There was a wreck that happened, I think, mid-stage 2, where Christopher Bell got in the back of Ryan Blaney and Kevin Harvick got rear-ended by Bubba Wallace. And all of this, with Kevin Harvick, his car actually got up in the air. Incredibly wild wreck with 4 very damaged cars. Only one of them, Ryan Blaney, was able to go on. But it was a very interesting and bizarre wreck. And it happened on this long back straightaway that Circuit of the Americas has. Very high-speed straightaway. And it was caused because of the high speeds and because of the low visibility. Out in the rain out there, the rooster tails coming out from behind the cars had left the drivers with so little visibility that they couldn't see the car right in front of them. So when these guys like Kevin Harvick slowed down, Bubba Wallace couldn't see in front of him and just rear-ended Harvick's car and just crashed it in the wall, and it was pretty wild. So, but then after that we got our restart, and we got back racing. But this is when the real controversial wreck happened. Same sort of thing happened. Martin Truex Jr. actually got in the back of Michael McDowell a bit. He backed off, slowed down a bit. Cole Custer was coming through the mist, through the rain, and he couldn't really see. So he was coming up behind Truex. And what happened was he tried to duck to the inside of the track, and there wasn't enough room. He wound up not being able to slow down, not being able to get traction, and ramming underneath Martin Truex's car, lifting the car completely off the ground, up sideways over the window of Cole Custer's car, and crashing back to the ground. And this sandwiched Cole Custer's car on a path in a collision with the barrier, with the metal wall on the side of the track. So Cole Custer took a nasty hit into that inside wall, and several badly damaged cars in that wreck. And that one was super crazy. Didn't see it from where I was sitting, but you could see the damaged cars coming down the straightaway, and Cole Custer's car was in flames, but it was wild. It was wild to see. Now, after that, NASCAR actually went to single file restarts for the remainder of the race to try to help with the visibility. In my opinion, the single file restarts actually didn't hurt the quality of the racing. If anything, they improved it because drivers had more freedom to move around on the restarts and make moves. But yeah, after that, they went on for about 10 to 15 laps until it got to raining so hard that they actually had to call the race. So Chase Elliott was declared the winner. But it was an incredible race to watch in person. Lots of 2-3 wide battles. For anyone on the casual viewer on television, if you weren't sure whether this was really a good race or not, I can tell you it was a great race. It was exciting to see in person. The passes people made, there was dive bombing going on in the corner. It was a fun one to watch. There were some spin outs, there were some, of course, big wrecks, and plenty of passing. So I want to cover some opinions here that came up in the NASCAR world after this race. But first I want to give mine. I think Circuit of the Americas is a keeper. Ever since I first saw a NASCAR test at this track a few years ago, I knew, man, this is the kind of track that would really show a driver's ability well, and we need to go to Circuit of the Americas. So, of course, I was just overjoyed when I heard it was going to be on the schedule this year. And, of course, I knew I had to go see it in person. Very fortunate, too. And, in my opinion, it was fantastic. It was really good. Debut for Circuit of the Americas. Of course, this track was built for Formula One, so accommodating a NASCAR race required some adjustments, especially on pit road, but I think the whole facility did a great job. I should give a shout out to the COTA Circuit of the Americas facility, because the fan zone, the concessions, it's all very well laid out. It's just awesome. So that was super cool. But some opinions came up after the race, and I want to cover those because they're controversial. I found a lot of people after the race kind of disgusted with the wrecks that happened. And I mean, that's justified. These were crazy wrecks, very dangerous, pretty incredible. I encourage you to go look at the replays of the wrecks because they're wild. So these people's fears were understandable. And I think a lot of what they were saying was founded on what Kevin Harvick had said after his wreck, saying it was the most dangerous thing he'd ever done. Now, I know Kevin Harvick's a driver here, but I don't quite agree with that. I think super speedway racing is just about the most dangerous thing you can do in the NASCAR world. Nonetheless, racing in the rain is dangerous. But NASCAR Xfinity Series has run several times in the rain, including last year at the Charlotte Roval, where they ran at night in standing water, probably half-inch to an inch of standing water on parts of the track, and they somehow managed fine, and they finished their race, and it was really good racing, to be honest. So NASCAR can race in the rain. It's just a fact. It's just a matter of perfecting it to avoid wrecks like this. Now, part of why these wrecks happen was that back straightaway is so long and so fast. I think just to avoid this kind of wreck, though, of course you can't bring down the speeds on a track like that. NASCARs go fast. My solution, I know a lot of people brought this up, just put better headlights and especially tail lights on the car, because right now NASCAR has a little blinking light in the back window, sort of IMSA racing style. But of course, IMSA sports cars, they also have headlights and tail lights. So I think for the next generation NASCAR road course package, it would be a good idea to put some tail lights at least on the cars. And I think that's easier to put into this new NASCAR next gen body. So we'll see how that goes. And I think that should be a concern, because this new next gen is kind of the kind of car that is leaning, as far as its setup, it leans towards road courses and short tracks for better racing. So I think if you're going to focus on those tracks where you can potentially race in the rain, I think you need to perfect the rain racing a little more. And now, that being said, please don't get mad about the rain racing and say we shouldn't outright do it. The solution is not to give up on it. I think the solution is just to perfect it, and it can be perfected. Now, I think single file restarts are a good idea while it's raining heavily. Now, the other thing is, and this was a little bit of a more out there and not as common viewpoint, but some people were saying we shouldn't return to Circuit of the Americas just because of these wrecks that happened. They said it was a boring race, which of course I don't agree with, but lots of people said, like, this race was terrible, we shouldn't go here again, it's too dangerous. Well, the reason it was dangerous was the rain. That back straightaway back there, very fast and dangerous, but usually it would have better visibility than that. I heard people down there in Texas saying it was the worst rains they'd had since they had a hurricane a few years ago. I mean, it's not a usual thing to see that kind of rain. So on average conditions, the racing down that back straightaway would be just fine and safe. We never saw wrecks like that in the truck or Xfinity race where there was better visibility. So obviously it's not a problem, or at least it's not much of a problem with the racetrack. I personally think this is now one of NASCAR's best racetracks. I want it to be a staple. Again, I really think it shows driver ability really well. So I was very happy with what I saw, and I really don't want Circuit of the Americas to leave, because it's become a fan favorite. I'll also note, I heard about 60,000. This was the largest crowd at any NASCAR race since last year's Daytona 500. So it was an honor to be back in the stands with so many people as part of the return of full grandstands and full stadiums for NASCAR racing again. It was a good feeling to go to my first race and have it feel normal. So that was very nice. Now I'll also add some quick thoughts on the Coca-Cola 600, which ran this last weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, their 600 miles of remembrance. Halfway through the race, stopped on pit road for a minute of silence for our fallen heroes. It was great to see the tribute that was given there. Of course, they ran the names of fallen soldiers on the windshields of the cars, as they do each year. That was amazing to see. So got a real sense of patriotism during that race. It was almost overwhelming at times, when Mike Joy, the play-by-play analyst, would talk about the soldiers and their stories. It was crazy to see what people have done for the country. So pretty incredible. Very mediocre race. Other than that, I wouldn't say there are a lot of people on social media saying this was a boring race. I personally think it was pretty cool. NASCAR on Fox didn't always show it, but there were usually some pretty good battles going on in the field. We saw some good saves. There was one point when James Davison got about 30 degrees sideways and somehow managed to save it, keep it out of the wall for the most part. But other than that, not really any incidents, except Ryan Newman cut a tire down. But other than that, not very eventful. The restarts, of course, were exciting, but the racing wasn't bad. I think Charlotte's one of the better tracks with this current 550 horsepower racing package, but yeah, overall, mediocre race. But what really did this race for me and what really got me on board and excited with it was the finish. All four of the Hendrick cars finished in the top five, and the only non-Hendrick car in there was Kyle Busch. But Kyle Larson won the race and made Rick Hendrick the winningest team owner in NASCAR history. 269 wins for Team Hendrick. They are making history. I'm not sure that record will ever be broken again. That was some pretty cool history to see. There as Larson crossed the finish line, and yeah, pretty incredible to see history made, right before your eyes. And of course, that was Chevy's 801st NASCAR win. So yeah, good to see that. I think Chase Elliott finished second, and that battle for second was really what rounded out the last laps and made them exciting, because Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman, and William Byron were all battling for that second spot in the closing laps. It got real close at points with some big moves and some blocks, and I think watching that race for second, that actually kind of kept you on the edge of your seat for a while. It was good racing. I think that's the kind of racing that can be achieved with this 550 horsepower package we use at the mile and a half. So it was a good race. I did enjoy watching the Coca-Cola 600 this year, and it was nice to have a little more of a laid-back race where I could sort of relax from all the action-packed weekend I'd been at the week before. So it was nice. Also, a few things to go over before I conclude today's episode. NASCAR is running its Pro Invitational Series race right now at the Chicago Street Circuit on iRacing as I speak. That's supposed to be sort of a test run for a possible street circuit NASCAR may run in the future. Also, NASCAR is looking at going international and implementing more street circuits in the future. Some rumors of new tracks, which I'll be talking about in later episodes, because those require more time, and I'm very excited about it, because one of the tracks may be here in my home state of Colorado. Also, we got some very exciting announcements on the historic North Wilkesboro and Rockingham tracks. So next week, I'll be going all over the new tracks that we may be getting in NASCAR. It's going to be, these next 10 years could look incredibly cool for the direction NASCAR's headed in. But a couple interesting things. Brad Keselowski may be leaving Team Penske and going to Roush Fenway Racing. This would mean Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing would become a thing. And also, Kurt Busch may be leaving Chip Ganassi Racing for Toyota, running the second car for 2311 Racing next year. That, of course, raises the question, who's going to replace him in that number one Chip Ganassi Racing car? My hypotheses include someone like Ryan Preece, who's shown speed in another Chevy team, JTG Doherty Racing, or possibly, wild guess, someone from the Xfinity Series like Noah Gragson, or why not someone like Harrison Burton? Who knows? So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with that, and if Kurt Busch does indeed go to Toyota. So very exciting things going on in NASCAR. It'll be very exciting to see where things play out. Sonoma in California is this weekend. This will be the first race California has held since March of last year, and it's going to be at the Sonoma Road Course. That's always a fun track. Martin Truex has won there the past 2 times, so it's going to be a fun race to watch. I think Chase Elliott's got to be the favorite for the race this weekend, but we'll see. We've seen, at our other road courses this year, Daytona Road Course and Circuit of the Americas, we've seen plenty of shakeups and plenty of drama. So especially with Christopher Bell winning at the Daytona Road Course, but we'll see who wins. I think we could get a surprise winner at Sonoma, especially because these drivers haven't been there in so long. They're not getting practice or qualifying. They're going to have to relearn it in some ways when they go out there this weekend. So should be a good race. So everyone enjoy the rest of their week. Enjoy the Sonoma race, and I will see you next time to preview the All-Star race and talk about NASCAR's new possible tracks. So until next time, this is Gunnison signing off with spinning the tires.